computer. Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Is Me, Speak Your Truth. I am your host, Tracy, and I have the privilege today of having Brittany Jones as my guest. And Brittany and I met a little bit a few months ago through our coaching business that we have with our mentors and coaches. And she decided to hop on and be a guest today. So welcome, Brittany. How about you share with everyone, tell us a little bit of your story or background or who you are?
Thank you for having me. My name is Brittany, and I'm a home birth mom of three so far and counting. Gosh, I was honestly not sure where to start on my background, but I guess I'll just start with space. So like growing up, I was always pretty sick as a kid. I had like chronic sinus infections. I had a lot of UTIs. I was really depressed and anxious. I was always on medications and I had like such heavy, painful periods. I was missing school. It was pretty brutal. And by the time I was 18, I was so sick that my will to live was virtually close to zero. And I'd hit a really low point. I had a lot of really low points, like before I'd even turned 18, where it even got to the point where I actually took attempts on my own life when I was in high school. But thank God I'm still here.
Yes.
And I just decided that there had to be a better way. So, like, I turned 18, I knew nothing. I just knew that what the care I was receiving in the Western medical model for my physical and emotional health was not adequate. Like, I knew that there had to be more. I knew that there was no way it was normal for an 18-year-old to always be in pain, to have this level of like brain fog and migraines and all the symptoms I was having. And so I just sought out to figure it out on my own. And it actually all started with like, I joined a gym and hired a personal trainer. And then I actually joined my first network marketing company. I'm not in network marketing anymore, but I joined a network marketing company that had a lot of plant-based cleaning products and like plant-based, wellness products and skincare and makeup. And so I started slowly transitioning my products in my home to the non-toxic lifestyle. And of course, once you kind of start opening those like non-toxic doors, it just goes down this rabbit hole. Um, so I started off getting like serious relief from like my sinus symptoms and my allergy symptoms, just ditching like cleaning products that had all the chemicals in them. Like I stopped having headaches. And then I started making different dietary changes, and from there just continued on that journey. I had a bout where I was vegetarian and vegan for a little bit. I'm not anymore, but it was part of my healing journey. And then I got pregnant with my first, and that really catapulted me deeper into the space. I started researching everything. I knew I wanted to work with midwives, but I had no idea home birth was an option. I actually transferred to a home birth midwife when I was 30 weeks pregnant with my first child.
Wow.
Um, I was in the care of a group of certified nurse midwives in a hospital, and I have no complaints about that hospital or those midwives. Honestly, they were very respectful, they were very professional, but I can't explain it. There was just something intuitive inside of me. Again, just like when I was 18, I knew there was a better way. Like I just knew in my heart, I was like, it's not quite hitting the spot. Like it's okay, but it's not quite there. And like I'm the kind of person that I'm like, I wanted to have like the best experience. Like I wanted to really embrace my birth. I've never been afraid of birth, which I know is uncommon. I was actually more afraid of the hospital interventions than I was of birth. Like that epidural needle, no thank you.
Right? Yeah.
Um, that terrifies me. Um, no judgment for the women who did. Like for me, that terrified me. That scared me so much more than childbirth. I've always just viewed childbirth as a natural, normal event, something that's beautiful. Um, and the idea of being watched in such a vulnerable and open time didn't sit with me. So I transferred care and I had a home birth with my first. It was it was beautiful. And from there, that's when I really that's when I would say my life really began. As cheesy as that sounds.
No, not at all. That's amazing.
Um, yeah, like I didn't know that I was called to be in the birth fertility space until I had my first baby and I had the deep spiritual transformation. So I always say my first baby taught me my strength. Um, my second baby taught me surrender. And my third baby taught me love.
Oh, I love that.
So that's a little bit of my background. I started studying, I got obsessive. I'm the kind of person where I obsessively research things. So I got obsessive. I started obsessively studying childbirth, fertility, pregnancy, nutrition, physiology, because that's just, I don't know, that's just the kind of person I am. I'm obsessive when I get interested in something, and I also just want to like optimize. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So that's how I got into the space I am now.
That's amazing. And then did you go to like with all your own research, did you find like any other courses or trainings that kind of like took you another path too to dig deeper into like some like other formalized training?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I did start off all self-studied and self-taught, and it took me some time to find where I wanted to do more formalized training because I have such a unique perspective on health, which I know everyone says that and thinks that they're unique, but I'm very picky. I'm very picky, and I knew like I studied the physiology of birth like to the umpteenth degree, that I knew that anything that was like had this overshadow of like the medicalized model, like I wouldn't want to learn from it because I have a completely different worldview.
Yeah.
So I guess in order to like answer the question of like my formalized training, yes, I have had some formalized training. Um, but the reason I went the path I went is so I believe that there are like two main different like worldviews when it comes to health. Worldview number one is that God, I believe in God, so I'm going to say God.
Yep.
God designed the human body to heal when given what it needs, and that He gave us everything we need in order to heal. We just have to utilize it and utilize it in the right order and with the right heart posture and for the right amount of time. Most people give up before their healing can really begin. That's my worldview. And
Yeah.
so that is completely countercultural to the Western medical model. The Western medical model does not believe that. The Western medical model believes that the human body is inherently broken and it needs to be fixed by man's intervention. And so I have a completely different worldview from the Western system. And unfortunately, the Western allopathic worldview has infiltrated even the holistic spaces. um, Many practitioners who would consider themselves holistic, they're actually just practicing allopathy, but with natural means. Um, so, for example, the use of like colloidal silver as an antibiotic, that's allopathy. I'm not against it. I'm not saying
Yeah.
there's not a reason to use antibiotics. There is absolutely, but in my approach and in my worldview, I believe that we should exhaust all gentle, supportive, live as designed, and gentle interventions first before we go to the more invasive and forceful interventions.
For sure.
And I would consider colloidal silver a forceful intervention. Because antibiotic doesn't just bad bacteria, it kills the good bacteria too. It's just a natural antibiotic. That's just one example that kind of gets thrown around. So I was going to be very picky in choosing a program. So I did find one. I actually have several different certifications and trainings. I ended up finding a traditional midwife who at the time was a traveling midwife. Traditional midwifery is unlicensed on purpose because, and I don't believe that the state has any right to tell women where they can give birth, who they can give birth with. And I also don't believe that the Western medical system has any business regulating midwives because midwives are the experts in normal and uncomplicated, and the Western medical system is the experts in complications. So those are two completely different worlds. And I think that midwives should regulate midwives. So I don't even like, I'm no longer practicing in the birth space, but if I was, you would be very hard pressed to find me pursuing licensure. Like I would most likely practice autonomously under a private membership association. So that's a whole different thing. But I found a
Yeah.
traditional midwife who had a program that was rooted in a biblical worldview because that's my personal worldview.
Hmm.
And she's one of the smartest women I've ever met. And she created a program for training traditional midwives. And I studied underneath her for about 3 years. And I
Wow.
had multiple apprenticeships where I attended birth with other traditional midwives and licensed midwives. I've attended birth with licensed midwives. I've also attended birth in the hospital as a doula. Um, I'm trained and certified in neonatal resuscitation for the home birth setting. I'm trained and certified in resolving breech and shoulder dystocia. I have some trainings and certifications in fascial release. And then I also got a training and certification in holistic nutrition.
Wow.
So, oh,
Lots of knowledge and experience.
and the last one, which is where I'm actually working now, is all of that led me to doing mineral work.
Okay.
So I got trained and certified in hair tissue mineral analysis and providing dietary and lifestyle recommendations based on that. And that's my midwifery training led me to mineral work.
Interesting. Okay. And so like with mineral work, like what would you say or like why do you think people are like why are we deficient in certain minerals or how does that all play into each individual?
Yeah, I love that question. That's such a good question. So, why are we deficient in minerals? It goes back to the Industrial Revolution. Um, with with the Industrial Revolution and the rise of processed food, especially like white bread, we actually saw an immediate spike in nutrient deficient related illnesses when they created white bread. So they were thinking, okay, we have all these people to feed, we need to feed these people, so let's like make it easy. And they fed all these people, but what they were feeding them is dead food.
Mm.
So when you take the grain and you break it down and you mill it and you process it the way that they do in industrialized grain products, they separate the bran from, I'm forgetting the name of the other part of it, but there's
Like the
two
germ,
parts.
like whet germ or
Thank you.
yeah.
Yes, they separate the germ and the bran. And what you get is this like ultra refined byproduct that loses all of its nutrients. So think of grains. I saw a really great analogy of like an apple. And I can't take credit for this. Somebody else whose whole account is all about freshly milled grains posted this. But she said, would you cut an apple open, take one bite, and then leave it on your pantry and just leave it there for months and months and then come back and eat it?
No.
Probably not.
Yeah.
No.
And
Well,
your house
that's
would
what we're
smell.
doing. Yeah. Because it goes bad. And that's what we're doing with industrialized grain products. So that's what is happening to the industrialized wheat when it becomes that white flour. Um, and then they have to like all these things into make up for the fact that they have to preserve it because now they've cracked it open. They sliced the apple open. So and fortified vitamins, like synthetic fortified vitamins. So you see enriched flour, right?
Yeah.
Enriched flour has all the synthetic Bs and folates and iron and all of that stuff. Um, so we became deficient because of the industrialized food movement, as well as monoculture. So historically, our ancestors always practiced more of a permaculture style of gardening or they would rotate their crops. So if they did have all the same crops in one place, every however many years, they would rotate them, and they also allow the soil to rest. So our soil is depleted because of industrialized farming and the use of glyphosate and pesticides. And then our food is depleted because it's living in depleted soil, and because we're breaking it open and then preserving it and then putting dead food on the shelves.
Hmm.
And so that's one of the reasons we're deficient. And we've been deficient since like the industrial evolution. So another reason is our nervous systems were not designed for this level of stimulus and input.
Right.
Like you and I were just talking about like the grayscale and how
Yeah.
overstimulating the screens are when they're in full color. So with televisions and cell phones and laptops, all of that stuff, our nervous system is designed to only have news from like one village away, like walking distance or like horse and buggy distance.
Yeah.
We're not designed to know what happened in China or even what happened from me to you in Canada. Like our nervous systems can't handle that. And so we're constantly being bombarded with information,
Yeah.
and our nervous systems can't process it. And the nervous system uses minerals. So then it depletes the minerals. And then women are even more deficient because we are 28 to 32 day cycle beings
Yep.
operating in a system that's designed for a man's 24-hour cycle.
Hmm.
And women are just simply like on a physiological level, like, yes, women are badasses. We can do so much, but that doesn't mean that we should. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it's not hard on our system. And so if we are going to be operating in more of a quote unquote man's world, we have to honor our female cycles, and we have to honor that our bodies, like physiologically, we need more sleep than men. Physiologically, we need more safety than men. Like physiologically, we need more nutrients. We are not designed to do things like intermittent fasting and extreme amounts of cardio. That's just not how our bodies are designed. So if we are going to do those things, we have to give our bodies additional support.
That totally makes sense. And it's kind of like that masculine, feminine energy, and how, like you're saying, like years ago, yeah, women were meant to like stay at home, take care of the kids, because that itself is a full-time job. And then now we're like, okay, now let's make these women go work a 40-hour work week on top of it. And it's like two full-time jobs or plus that, right?
While bleeding.
Yeah,
Like,
just keep
go
adding,
to
adding,
work
adding. What
while
can women
bleeding.
handle? That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So speaking of like more natural approaches and the way you help coach people, like if a woman would want to work more of not having like those interventions, um, like the industrial type interventions and want to take a more natural approach, but is kind of scared or doesn't even know where to begin, what would you kind of say to her, or what would be some guidance for her?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, I'm gonna say this like as though I'm going back and like talking to my own younger self, because
Yeah.
that's the easiest way to approach that is I would tell her first and foremost, realize that this is a complete and total lifestyle overhaul, and it's going to take time. It's going to take longer than you think it's going to take to get to where you want to be with your physical health and emotional health, because you didn't get to where you are overnight. The vast majority of us, like I said, because of the Industrial Revolution, we were born in a state of dysregulation and depletion. It's not just because of the Industrial Revolution, that's just from a nutrient standpoint, but we were born in a state of dysregulation and depletion because our mothers and our grandmothers were dysregulated and depleted because of the problems that we had in our worlds before that. I would say be patient with yourself and start small. Like start small. The best place, like if I could go back, I would I would learn the things I learned about nutrition in the last 3 years, 13 years ago when I started this journey. So I'm 31 now. So I've been in the holistic space for 13 years. I would kind of reverse it and start with food, because
Yeah.
you're going to eat no matter what. You're going to eat no matter what. And truly, I know it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but I don't think most people believe it. Food is the best medicine. Like it truly is. Food is the best medicine. That's not just a cliche saying. So starting with food and starting with very simple thoughts, like primarily eating whole foods cooked at home in appropriate balance of both your macronutrients and your micronutrients, but start small and be patient with yourself. And then, like when it comes to environmental toxins, replace things one at a time. As you run out of something, replace it with a cleaner option and always be doing research and figuring out. I mean, now, like when I started this journey, it was really hard to get truly clean products. Like you pretty much had to DIY them or pay a lot of money and order them online. You
Yeah.
could not find them in Target and Walmart. But today, I can go to my Target and I can find truly clean products that meet my very high standards on the Target shelves.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
women starting today have an advantage over like people like me who started this 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, start small. And also, um, when it comes to who you invite into your healing journey and your health journey, be extremely discerning. Recognize that one, first and foremost, you're hiring them, you're paying them. They're not the authority. You are the authority over your own health. Um, so anybody who is not respecting that and who is not giving full informed consent or has this sort of condescending attitude, which you can find in both the Western and the more natural spaces, thank you next. Like there is no reason. There's so many good providers and practitioners and coaches out there. There's no reason to be working with somebody that makes you feel disempowered or like you're not in control of your health or that doesn't feel aligned if you just have like a gut check. But I would honestly start with nutrition and exercise. So like I would start with a coach. I wouldn't even start with like any sort of doctor. I don't even think most of us need doctors most of the time. I
Yeah.
know that's a hot take, but
No, I like that hot take. I'm in agreement with you on that too. Uh, those are awesome pieces of advice. Thank you for giving that information to everyone as well. And then kind of going back to with some of your other experience, like you were talking about like the home birth and women, like there's such like you're saying all these things are like correlate or relate to each other, but like with fertility right now, right? And like you're saying, like the foods and working out and doing all these health proactive things, we've noticed such a shift in women struggling for fertility, right? And so, what are like some myths or some things around fertility that you wish women knew as well?
oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like we could do a whole podcast episode just on
I
this
know, I was gonna say
question,
we'll have to have you
but
bring you back and
I'll
do
try
another
to
one.
I'll try to keep this like brief.
Okay.
Okay, first and foremost, this is not so much a myth, but just like a foundational piece. The vast majority of adult women are body illiterate. And so the first thing is like we need to be body literate. Like we need to know our bodies. And like using like a cycle tracking app like Flow is not adequate. Um we need to really understand our bodies. So that's not so much a myth. I guess the myth there is that you need somebody else to tell you if and when you're fertile. So many women that are dealing with quote unquote infertility, it's simply because they're body illiterate and they're working with a provider who is also body illiterate and who is incentivized and makes money off of them needing their interventions. So why would they teach them natural family planning or the fertility awareness method? It's the same thing, but
Yeah.
two different names. So body literacy is the foundation of all of that. Like there are so many women who have simply learned their cycle, and I'm talking your basal body temperature, your cervical fluid, and the way it changes throughout the month, your stress, and if you really want to get super nerdy with it, you can utilize a Mira or an Inito fertility monitor, and you can track your hormones in your urine. But honestly, basal body temperature, cervical mucus, cervical fluid, and cervical positioning alone and just like feeling your mood, like that alone can help women conceive.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that like we're not, yeah, like there are women who literally thought they were infertile, but they were just not having sex during their fertile window.
With the peak time they should be, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and their doctor's not even asking that question because why would they? That's not their wheelhouse. That's not what they're trained in, and they make no money off of you knowing your body. So body awareness is always going to be step one. Like whether no matter even if you're not even if kids are not on the radar yet, I think all women, like as soon as they start cycling, should be very well educated and in tune with their body because truly I believe that as women, our cycle is a superpower. And if we can learn how to harness it, we can improve all areas of our lives. We can improve our creativity, we can improve our work, our school, our relationships, our physical health. If we learn how to harness it and use it, like women are so powerful and so strong. And going to a system that has like primarily only been focused and studied on like men is really silly. Um, so as far as like myths around fertility, I would say like the geriatric pregnancy myth that
Wow.
grinds my gears. Like it just makes me
Okay.
want to like there's no such thing as a geriatric pregnancy. That's just a term that they slap on women so that they can label you high risk and make more money off of you from the insurance companies. Uh, as long as a woman, as well as like your fertility, like, yes, does our fertility have a clock? Yes. However, something that most women don't realize, like, I heard a story of a woman who lives in Germany. She's pregnant with like her 15th baby and she's like in her 50s or 60s.
I think I've seen that story. Yeah.
When a woman, when a woman is supported, and I mean with food, with lifestyle, with a loving partner, with a loving community, getting time outside, sunlight, fresh air, barefoot on the ground, all of the things. When a woman is supported, she will be fertile for a very long time. And there's a really cool study that came out. I don't know if you've seen this one, that women who have their last baby after 35 are 50% more likely to live. I think that one was like past 80. I'm going to misquote this, but I do know that past 40, like, so let's say I have my last baby at 45. I'm like 50% more likely to live to be 100 years old.
Wow. No, I haven't heard of
So
that. That's wild.
having, having babies increases a woman's longevity when she is supported. So so that's like myth number one would be that the geriatric pregnancy thing and that like babies are they suck the life out of you. I've heard people call them parasites. That's so
Uh,
wrong.
yeah.
Like that's so wrong because it's actually a symbiotic relationship. So to counter that one, babies are not parasites. Actually, the stem cells of the baby travel through the umbilical cord and they heal the mother. So for example, I'll use myself as an example. Before I had babies, I was given, it was a false diagnosis because I didn't know at the age of 19 that you have to have surgery to be diagnosed with endometriosis. But just based off of my symptom picture and a short vaginal exam, my OBGYN at the time tried to diagnose me with endometriosis. I did have heavy, painful periods and some of the signs and symptoms. So I understand where she was coming from, but it is technically incorrect and unethical to give a diagnosis without surgery for that particular condition. But after I had my first baby, my periods went from heavy, painful, and debilitating to light and easy because my child healed my womb, literally.
Wow. That's incredible.
So a lot of women think that they have to wait until everything's perfect or that like they're not healthy enough to have babies. And sure, there might be things that you and your husband want to do to prepare for conception to optimize. We definitely want to decrease risks as much as possible and optimize as much as possible, but things are never going to be perfect. And your pregnancy and your baby is the single most powerful opportunity for healing and transformation that a woman can go through. Like I will die on that hill. That motherhood is the single most spiritually transformative rite of passage that a woman can go through in her lifetime. So really embracing that and seeing it as that rather than seeing it with this like negative lens. Um, I don't know if that answers your question
No, that does. That's
about
fantastic.
fertility.
No, it's good. And that's the thing, like, or you hear people that are like, they're like so stressed that all they're thinking about is trying to get pregnant. And then they like go through all these things, and they're like, oh, we can't get pregnant. We've tried all these interventions. Then they're about to adopt. And then all of a sudden, like, their stress levels have changed a lot. And then they end up getting pregnant. Like, I've heard that
Mhm.
story over and over again, too, right?
Yep. Yeah. Um, there's yes, absolutely. Like our heart posture and our stress absolutely plays a role in our fertility. And another thing that most people don't realize is that the male, he is 50% of the equation. Like he is. Sperm health. So the sperm health is actually what sets the foundation for the health of the placenta. And the placenta is what keeps the baby alive. So it is now estimated, we now have research that has shown that we can say up to 50% of miscarriages and complications are actually caused by the male.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So only focusing on the woman and injecting her body with all these harmful things and trying to force a pregnancy, but not addressing the male is not just harmful for her, but it's harmful for that child. Um, and another thing is that again, going back to this like worldview difference, the body's designed to heal when given what it needs. So if somebody is truly struggling with infertility, we need to look at the whole person. How is, like you just mentioned, stress? How is her spirit? How is her heart? Like, is there unprocessed grief and trauma that needs to be moved through before she is actually open and receptive to receiving new life? Um, the body is very intelligent and it's designed to keep you safe. So if your body doesn't feel safe, it's not going to bring new life into the world. So we have to ask ourselves, where does my body feel unsafe? Am I chronically under eating and over exercising? Or am I chronically overeating and under exercising? Am I in a toxic relationship? Am I in a toxic work environment? Do I just have unprocessed baggage from my childhood that I'm carrying in my womb space? Like, I know that might sound woo woo, but this is all real and it's all supported by science now. We have so
Yeah.
much research to show how the body is keeping the score. And the first system that the body is going to shut down if it feels unsafe is reproduction because we can't bring new life into a world if we're not safe.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
that like fight or
intelligence.
flight or like rest and digest kind of thing, right? Yeah, it's going to shut down
Yeah.
that system to take care of the core necessities and needs.
Right, exactly. So rather than trying to force the body to create life when it's not ready, let's get the body safe first. Because when you force the body to create life when it's not ready, now you're a high risk pregnancy. And now you're probably going to have a more complicated pregnancy with more symptoms. You might have a complicated birth. Your child is at greater risk of health complications. There's now research to show um, all of the lifelong consequences for the children who were born via IVF, for example.
Yeah.
There's an attachment wound that is created with IVF that is embedded in the nervous system that cannot be undone. It can be, we can mitigate, we can do our best to heal, but we can't undo it. Um, because the child wasn't created in the womb, it was created outside of the womb and then placed in the womb.
Yeah.
Um, and as well as postpartum complications. So when we force the body, and not everybody's going to IVF, some people are using other fertility treatments, but when we force the body and it's not ready, it simply is a higher risk. And if you're not getting pregnant, I guarantee you're depleted in minerals. And every single pregnancy, we give 4 pounds of minerals to our baby. So now you're even more depleted than you already were. And so your risk of postpartum depression, postpartum hemorrhage, postpartum psychosis, I'm not trying to sound morbid, but like these are real things and I've
Yeah.
I've seen them. So just trying to get pregnant for the sake of getting pregnant, I think is a disordered view. Like I understand more like just as much as the next woman the desire for a baby. Um I love my babies and I want to have 12 babies. But we want to be responsible and safe about the way that we approach this because we don't just want to bring new life into the world. We want our child to have a good quality of life.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, that's the key piece. And it's like, I forget what book I had read a while ago, but it was like same thing going back in like science world and like genetics and that sort of thing and about like the tribe mentality, but how like a couple gets together and tries to conceive, but then they try over and over and they're just not getting pregnant. And I don't know your view on this, but it had said basically in this book that that couple technically with whatever their genetics are, those two people weren't meant or the bodies aren't supposed to make a baby, and that's why they're not getting pregnant and why you shouldn't try to do interventions. And I just thought that was an interesting take in this book. So I don't know your opinion on that.
I haven't heard that before, but logically it makes sense to me. Now, what I have heard is, are you familiar with how birth control changes the brain of the woman and it makes her attracted to men that are not a biological match for her?
I did not know that, but I was on same thing like growing up, like you're talking about all that youth stuff. Like I was on the pill just to be regular, right? Because I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna
Me
get it.
too.
So I was on it, and yeah, it changed all this stuff. And then I wasn't on it after I had my son, and then I went back on it after my daughter, and I had like the crazy like mood swing. Like I was like, I can't be on this stuff, and I've never been on any like birth control since. But like, no, I did not know that side of it.
Yeah. So birth control changes the brain of the woman and it actually makes her more attracted to men that are not going to be a biological match. Um, or like not attracted to her husband. So like we actually see a higher rise of like divorce and marital problems when birth control comes into the picture
Mm.
postpartum. But then same thing, like other way, like let's say a woman meets her husband on birth control and then gets off of birth control and she might be like, ew, because she might have married a man that wasn't a biological match.
Wow.
Because the birth control was clouding her judgment.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
it makes sense, the tribe mentality thing, that like
Yeah.
we could be um matched inappropriately genetically.
Yeah. And yeah, I just thought that was interesting when I read that in the book. I was like, I guess that does make sense. And then it's like we're forcing all these things on people to try to conceive because yes, a woman wants a baby so badly, but it's like you're saying like that partnership might not be the right one to conceive with, right?
Yeah, it might not.
Or if they do have a child, then it's like you're saying those other side effects the child could have with the quality of life or having chronic disease happen to that kid growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also like um think of it from a standpoint of like, because I've been a single mother for the last however many years, and I did choose unwisely from a emotional and safety standpoint with the father of my children, as far as like our compatibility, like not a match.
Okay.
And what are the what are the consequences for my children of having a split home? It hurts them emotionally, right?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, but you're on to bigger, better things and all your coaching now. And
Yeah.
yeah, this is fantastic. This has been so educational for like myself, and I know other people are going to get a lot of value out of this. If there's any final words, last piece of advice or anything you want to give to anyone, what do you have anything else you would like to share?
Hmm.
You're like the tough final question.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that. Um,
I guess just like if a woman's like to trust their gut, like if you're saying like these things you noticed as a teenager, just like to trust their own intuition to seek and research, do the research, right?
yeah, yeah. So women, like I said, women are very powerful. Like they have superpowers. Men are awesome too. I love men. But we're talking about women today.
Yeah.
And I would say that like I truly believe that like God has instilled in women this like sixth sense, this like antenna to the spiritual realm, and this vision and this wisdom that is unique to the woman. I truly believe that women are designed to be the gatekeepers and the stewards of their health and of their family's health and anyone that they're caring for. Because not every woman is going to end up having biological children. I understand that reality, but every woman has the mother archetype in her, even if she is a spiritual mother or an adoptive mother. Um, so just trusting that intuition is really like the key. And it's just the little things, like the little nudges, like when you notice something, listen to it. And then when you maybe don't listen to it and you go back and you look in hindsight and you're like, huh, I knew that I shouldn't have done XYZ. Like I
Yeah.
knew that, was a bad choice, but I did it anyway. Like take note of that and let that feed your confidence and your intuition, but like give yourself opportunities to practice your intuition it's just like a muscle, right? And like you need to put in the reps.
Yeah, for
So like
sure.
put in the reps and trust yourself. And it really, if I could leave women with like one thing, it's understanding that your health and your, if we're talking about fertility, your fertility, it truly is found in your daily choices. It is not found in an office visit with an OBGYN or even a midwife, or even in a coaching call with me. It is found in your daily choices.
Oh, I
And
love
so
that.
recognizing the power that you have, and be willing to listen to those intuitive nudges, be okay with making mistakes because you're going to, um, and just do a little bit better every single day. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress and growth and to become more connected with our innate wisdom and our ancestral wisdom. I really believe in like the ancestral like wisdom being passed on. Like I think it's like embedded in our DNA. The same way that trauma is also passed on through multiple generations, so is the wisdom. It's not all negative. So leaning into that ancestral wisdom of the women who've come before you that is embedded in your DNA and like trusting that. Um, and just like I said before, like being patient with yourself and with your body, um, because it's hard being a woman in a world that is overstimulating and hyper masculine. And unfortunately, the feminist movement has done harm. It's,
I'm like, technical problems, it's all frozen.
am I still frozen?
Oh, no, now you're good.
Okay. Sorry. I feel like I went down, but yeah,
I know,
trust
I'm like, I
that,
missed what I'm like, now
trust
I
your gut.
wonder what you said.
Real what did it cut out on?
At the very beginning, you said trusting your ancestral like heritage and background, and then I don't know. And you probably don't remember what you said now either.
Yeah, I just said be patient with yourself and your body and your mind because it's hard being a woman in a world that is overstimulating and that it kind of we kind of have to fight for our femininity in this world. Um, so like being patient with that and like being patient with like um, unlearning the things we've been conditioned, like because we have been systematically conditioned to be disconnected from our wombs for the last 100 years. Like I'm not gonna get into the background of like obstetrics and all that fun stuff because that's a whole different topic, but
Yeah.
that has been a systematic and intentional disconnecting of women from their wombs so that the male medical model could like take over because they saw an opportunity to make a lot of money and have customers. That's just the reality of it. So be patient with yourself as you're unlearning those traumas and as you're unpacking that. And like don't be afraid of your femininity. Like don't be afraid of your big emotions. Don't be afraid of your strength and your roar. And women are just so like complex and it's beautiful. And so embracing all of the colors of you. Like not every woman is going to be like soft flowy dresses laying in the garden and not every woman is going to be like, like boss babe. Like there's so many colors of woman and just like embrace the color of woman that you are.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna leave it there because that was amazing. Thank you so much for like sharing your knowledge and sharing your experience. If anybody does want to work with you or coaching or connect with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me would be on Instagram. My handle is at anointed and fruitful. Um, I'm also on TikTok, but it's easier to get a hold of me on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. And then I'll put it in the description too of I'll put that your handle on the description in the podcast so people can reach
Cool.
out to you.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.